Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel, The Movie Vlog. My name is John Campea, of course. So glad you guys are joining me here today as we are here to discuss Justice League, the movie. Now, look, you are more than welcome to stay if you have not seen Justice League, the movie. I know I knew everything about the Justice League movie before I went to go see it, and it didn't hurt my enjoyment of it at all, so you are more than welcome to stay. However, gotta emphasize, even though it's in the title, gotta let you know and warn you, this is a spoiler review of this movie right here, Justice League. That means we're going to talk about Justice League just like we've all seen it together. Now, here's how today's little video is going to go. I'm going to talk about Justice League. You guys have heard me talk about Justice League a lot, but what I really want to do is leave the discussion direction up to you guys. I'm going to want you guys to mention your favorite parts, the parts you dislike the most, little comments you may have, and here's what I want you to do for those of you guys who are watching live. I want you to tweet in your thoughts, your favorite scenes, or just bring up a scene that you want me to talk about, and tweet to me at John Campea. You can start sending those in now. Start tweeting to me at John Campea. Very important though, guys. Keep your tweets as short as possible. I know Twitter allows you to put in like 240 or more characters now, but please guys, if you send in a tweet, bring up a scene, bring up a comment, bring whatever, but please keep that tweet as short as possible, definitely under that original 140 character limit, or else it just might run too long for me to fit on the screen. So do that. And that's the way I really want the show to go. But I'm going to start off this spoiler review discussion while you guys start getting your tweets together that you want to send in, talking about just some of my general thoughts about the movie. And you've heard me say this before, but I'm going to start off with repeating this. This is a bit of a mixed bag movie. No doubt about it, it is a bit of a mixed bag. There is good and there is bad. Now, the reason I like the film, and the reason I'm going tonight to see it for my fourth time, I'm going to go see it for my fourth time tonight, is because while I do agree there's several bad elements about the film, I believe that the good things about the film are great. I really do. I think the stuff that they do well, they do extremely well. And to me, it tips the scales that the good stuff far outweighs the bad, in my opinion. Now, if you're somebody who didn't like it, I can understand why. There are a number of negative things to this movie. I completely understand if somebody else watches the movie and goes, I didn't like that. Totally fine. That's totally cool. But there are a lot of things that worked for me. And the main things that worked for me was the character dynamic. The character dynamic, both as individuals and their inter-character chemistry, worked fantastic. I really like Flash. To me, stole the movie. Like, to me, I think the hardest I laughed, the two scenes I laughed the hardest in Justice League was, well, one of them involves Barry, but number one was that scene when Superman is just beating all the Justice League's asses. He's just tossing them aside, you know, beating the hell out of the Justice League. And then Flash decides, I'm going to use my super speed and I'm going to sneak around behind Superman. And Flash starts to run behind Superman, and all you do is see Superman's eyes. And I'm like, oh God. But the funny part was when the camera then goes to Barry, and Barry realizes that Superman is just as fast as him. Well, just as fast, almost fast, whatever. The look on Barry's face, like that look on Ezra Miller's face when he's realizing Superman is seeing him run. Because remember, up to this point, that's all the Flash has going for him. Is he jumps into the Speed Force, boom, and nobody can do anything about it. All of a sudden, for the first time in his life, he's trying to run behind Superman, and Superman is turning his head in time with him. And the look on Ezra Miller's face, man, to me, that was priceless. My other gold standard moment, as far as the part that had me laughing the most, was that scene in the Bat Carrier as they're on their way to their final battle with Steppenwolf. And Aquaman gives his little spiel, and it turns out he's sitting on Wonder Woman's lasso of truth. Now, that's a little bit of inconsistency. The lasso of truth, you're not just supposed to be able to touch it, you're supposed to be bound by it, but whatever. So he's sitting on the lasso of truth, and he starts spilling his heart. He's just wearing his heart on his sleeve, saying all these things. And I just thought that was wonderful. I thought that was a great, fun moment that also served not just as a good laugh, it served as a really good bonding moment with the team and of the team. It felt great. As a matter of fact, I'll say this. I think Avengers is the best comic book movie ever made. And I do believe Avengers is a better movie than Justice League. But I think one of the things that Justice League did better than that first Avengers movie was very quickly, I felt the team chemistry of the Justice League. More so than in the first Avengers movie. The first Avengers movie, really, even by the big end battle, even with Captain America, calling out the plays and calling out the orders, to me, one of the things that Justice League did even better than Avengers is that I felt they bonded. I felt there was a bit of some bonding going on between the team. I really liked the dynamic between Batman and Wonder Woman. I thought that worked great. Especially in that scene when they even start getting coarse with each other. Because that really great dramatic moment when, you know, they're going back and forth and Batman goes, "Did Steve Trevor say that?" or something along those lines. And she wallops him and he comes back. "You've been hiding, you know, Superman was a beacon for the world. Where have you been?" You know, just even in their lighter moments and in their rougher moments, the dynamics between Batman and Wonder Woman, I thought was all kind of wonderful. The Aquaman character, look, I was nervous about him even though I love the Jason Momoa casting, I was a little bit nervous because the trailers, "My man," and, Red's not dead yet, yeehaw, and like all this kind of stuff. I thought, oh, that's going to get annoying, but you know what? He worked great. And then the moments between him and Flash were really good. The moments between him and Bruce were really good. I started to really love the bond and the dynamic between Flash and Cyborg. And Cyborg is a character who worked a lot better than I thought he would. But there are weaknesses to the film as well. The visual effects are subpar. There's no getting around it. There are some great visual effects in the movie, but overall subpar, and nowhere does that stand out more than with Steppenwolf. And the model of Steppenwolf is great. And if you look at a still image of Steppenwolf, I think he looks fine. The problem is when it's on his face, and I mentioned this on the John Campea show the other day, when the camera's on his face and Steppenwolf is talking, you can really see bad animation. And probably one of the victims of them running out of time to do any more. Because if you look at a movie like Big Friendly Giant, or if you look at Lord of the Rings with Gollum, or if you look at Caesar in Planet of the Apes, look at me right now. When I'm talking, my eyes are moving, my cheeks are moving a bit, you know, my chin and my lips will move in different directions and all that kind of stuff. The face animates when I'm talking. And if you watch Gollum or Caesar or the Big Friendly Giant, when they talk, that's what happens. The whole face is animated. There was a lot of times in Justice League when Steppenwolf is talking, "Mother," and did he have any sentences that didn't have the word mother in it? Anyway, when he's talking, the only thing that moves is his jaw and some of his lips. "You are too weak to understand the unity, and mother calls me," and blah, 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 where everything else is completely static. And that really just made me, oh gosh, this feels like a video game cutscene. And it really was distracting and pulls me out. Speaking of bad visual effects, I think the worst visual effects shot in the movie, there's that scene. Tell me if you guys agree with me or this. There's that one scene near the end in the final big fight, and Superman shows up, right? Which was awesome. So Superman shows up, and him and Steppenwolf start to tussle. And then the camera cuts back, and it's almost like a video game shot where it's side profile, the camera cuts back, and you got Steppenwolf here facing Superman, and Superman's floating in the air looking down on him. And I was like, oh my God, that looks terrible. Superman looked awful in that shot. I mean, just terrible. It really felt like I was playing Injustice Gods Among Us, and it's like, camera pans back, and you got Steppenwolf and Superman floating in the air, and it's like, oh, that looks terrible. It's a great shot. It's a great idea for a shot, but the visual effect on it was so bad, and Superman looks so bad. And then, of course, there's the whole mustache thing and all that kind of nonsense as well. But here, I'm going to say this too. Whereas some people are complaining about the runtime, I'm going to deny or defy you guys. I think 2 hours was the right runtime for this movie. I really do. It kept it lean. It kept the pace going, and it put the focus on the things that needed to be focused on. And even though it was only 2 hours, in the first half hour, I thought there were entire 5-minute segments that could have been cut out completely. Like, maybe it's important for later for a Flash standalone movie. We didn't do it now. That entire scene of, what did it add to the movie? That whole scene with Flash, Ezra Miller, sitting in the prison with his dad, having that big conversation with his dad. Having a conversation that you know they've already had 50 times. And it's like, this scene is not adding to this movie. Understanding Barry's relationship with his dad is not important to Justice League. Might be important to a standalone Flash movie, and it might be important later for a Flashpoint movie. Put that scene in that movie. There was like 5 minutes right there that could have been shaved off, and you could have added 5 minutes of battle somewhere, or added 5 minutes of something else. That was a bit of a waste. I thought that opening conversation between Cyborg and his father in the apartment, I thought that felt dragged on. I felt you could have accomplished what you needed to accomplish in that scene and get the information to the audience that you want to in half the time that scene lasted. So while I enjoyed the scene between Ma Kent and Amy Adams, Lois Lane, sitting at the Daily Planet, just sitting around chatting, it was an endearing scene, but unnecessary. There was nothing communicated in that scene that became relevant or important or vital to the rest of the movie. That scene could have been gone. I mean, even though some people are complaining that the 2-hour runtime was too short, I felt like you could have cut another 10 minutes out of this movie, or cut 10 minutes out and replace it with 10 minutes of some other stuff that was more relevant to the story. So even at 2 hours, I felt like the movie dragged a little bit. But I mean, the battles were great. It was really neat seeing the first battle in the sewer system. It's not a sewer system, but under the Gotham City Harbor. And the Justice League, while they do some very cool things, they essentially get their asses handed to them. So that's great. Then they go back into battle again. And I got to tell you, the chills moment when Superman comes back, boom, and he's floating in the air. Oh, heart started pounding. They should have got to Superman earlier in the film. They should have got to Superman earlier in the film. That's my thought at any rate. They should have had Superman appear earlier in the film. Plus, they should have brought him back another way, because you know what they did? That entire last shot in Batman vs. Superman, where it's a close-up on Clark's grave, and then the dirt starts to vibrate, and it's like, oh, so that was nothing? That was pointless? I did not like the way they went about bringing him back, because it's like, wait a minute. How the hell does Batman know to use the pool to bring back Superman? How do they know? All you need is a big electric shock to bring Superman back. Really? That's all you need was a big electric shock? I mean, so anyway, I thought that could have been handled better. My gosh, the flashback scene with Green Lanterns. Let me ask you guys this. Tell me this. Tell me what you think about this. In the big flashback battle scene where we see the Atlanteans, Amazonians, men, Green Lanterns, all this kind of stuff, fighting Steppenwolf and his parademons. Was that one big guy? Was that Zeus? The dude hurling the lightning? Was that Zeus? Like, I want to know, because at first when I saw the big guy, I thought the big guy might have been Hercules, right? Like Epic Comicast is saying, was that Hercules in the flashback? That's what I'm wondering. Was it Hercules? But then all of a sudden, he starts shooting lightning out. I was like, oh, maybe it's Shazam shooting lightning? But then they did the wide shot, like after the victory, you see the wide shot. Zeus looked like he was, or whether it was Zeus or Hercules or whatever, that dude was about 5 feet taller than everybody else. So, okay, maybe it's not Shazam. So, yeah, do you guys think that was Zeus? Let me know what you guys think. Some people are saying it was George St. Pierre. Yes, it was Zeus. Somebody's saying, looked young to be Zeus. Yeah, but Zeus can look however he wants. I mean, right? Zeus could look however he wants. So maybe he just looked like that in Thing. So I thought that was great. I loved that you see the Green Lantern get killed, and they gave the extra 3 seconds of screen time to showing the ring then coming off his finger and doing what a lantern ring is supposed to do, boom, and go off to find the next worthy bearer. I loved that they included that in there. I thought that was fantastic. I really enjoyed seeing that. And just a nod of the cap that, yes, the Green Lantern Corps exists in this DCEU. It didn't die with the Ryan Reynolds character. It's still out there. But yeah, but again, Superman. They should have had more Superman. Definitely should have had more Superman in the marketing, and I thought they should have got to Superman much earlier in the film. Like, don't get me wrong, they didn't need to get to Superman in the first 15 minutes, but I felt he was underused. I really do. They should have used more of him, because the big comeback was no secret. It was no spoiler. Everybody knew about that. They should have got to it quicker. And I felt that would have fleshed it out a little bit more. But man, Superman, how great is Superman in this movie? How great is Superman in this movie? I already love the Henry Cavill Superman. But I think people who have not been satisfied with the Superman the DCU has been giving us, I think they would be satisfied with this Superman. Like more, he's a little bit more in tune with the older classic Superman. And look, he's dealt with all this stuff now. The first two movies he's been in, I thought were brilliant because he's an alien. He's just finding out he's not human. He's struggling with his identity. Then once he knows he has these powers, where's my place in this world? Not on top of that, he's got two father figures who are giving him opposing philosophies that he's supposed to follow. And then he's got half the world hating him in Batman versus Superman. He wants to do the right thing, but when he does the right thing, people still hate him. And he's conflicted and he's torn. And I loved it. Loved it. That is how Superman should have been in those movies. So, but I understand there are some people who thought he should have been more apple pie. Let me get that kitten out of your tree for you, ma'am. More smiley. I get it. That's fine. But now he's been through that gauntlet. He saved the world and he paid with his life. And now he's been brought back. He's experiencing life again. And because of all that, they've shifted the tone on him a bit. He's saying truth, justice. He just falls short of the American way. He loves truth and justice, smiling. I loved the joke, by the way, when it went after him and Cyborg separate the mother boxes. And there, the boom goes off and he's laying on the ground. And he goes, I take it back. I wish I was dead. I mean, that was fun. It was funny. And it kind of gave a wink to the audience that we are indeed, as a DCEU, going a little, we're going to bring more lighter tone stuff in it as well. And I enjoyed that. I thought that was great. The whole parademon thing was weird in the sense that, wait a minute, the movie starts off. First of all, how does Batman find out that parademons are attracted to fear? How on earth do you discover that? Then on top of that, they're just flying around the city. Come on, these things would be all over the news by now. This wasn't some big secret thing, but whatever. And did you notice? I don't think anybody died in this film other than parademons. I think Steppenwolf killed somebody, but for the most part, like no city destruction. They decided, hey, this time our big epic battle, not in a city, some small remote Russian town where we don't see anybody getting hurt. I mean, so they decided to go that way as well. But anyway, yeah, those are just some of my general thoughts. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I'm going to go see it a fourth time tonight. But now I want to go to Twitter. Once again, guys, start tweeting in scenes you want me to talk about, or say some of the things you really liked about this movie or didn't like about this movie. Tweet to me at John Campea. And once again, guys, keep those tweets as short as possible, okay, guys? Because if they're too long, they're going to run over. So keep them as short as possible. Let me open up my Twitter message board here. And we will start off with our first tweet today. And our first tweet today from you guys who are watching live comes to us from Jared Geronimo, who writes, John, I feel the Danny Elfman score contributed a great tone to the Justice League film, similar to the tone of the Superman movies. I'm going to be honest with you. Didn't love the score. There are certainly moments of the score, like every once in a while hearing the Batman theme overtures, dun, 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 like that was pretty cool. Hearing those moments of the classic John Williams Superman score when Superman's standing there, dun, 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 that goes off into something else. Those were pretty cool. The score was fine. I know a lot of people have been very excited about the score. To be honest, to me, it wasn't memorable. It was about as good as any score in any Marvel movie, and you know I don't love the musical scores in the Marvel movies all that much. So, but I know a lot of you guys really did love Elfman's score. That's great. It just wasn't for me. Let's see. This next one comes to us from the Uzman Alvi. Writes, John, I feel Aquaman didn't do many water-powered stuff other than that one scene. Well, yeah, there's the scene, the first battle scene with Steppenwolf when Aquaman shows up at the end to save everybody and he stops the water. That was great. Of course, there was his own fight with Steppenwolf. By the way, how powered are they making Aquaman in this universe? Because he's going toe-to-toe with Steppenwolf. And he gets in some good licks on Steppenwolf. Not only in that fight, but also in the big final fight at the end of the film. He's going toe-to-toe with Steppenwolf, battling him. And of course, him and Wonder Woman are both double-teaming him. But there's times when it's just him and Steppenwolf one-on-one, and he's holding his own. They're making him quite powerful. So there was the one big underwater scene where Steppenwolf comes to take the mother box from the Atlanteans. That is clearly a big one. But then above water, but not a lot of the movie happened around big bodies of water, right? So we didn't get a chance to see Aquaman really unleashing his power, especially over the water. We did get to see Mera. That was pretty cool, right? Seeing her and Mera. And by the way, how many movies can you put Gal Gadot in and say she's the second best looking person in the movie because Mara looked, oh my God, she looks so incredible. But anyway, using those water powers, like, again, taking shots of Steppenwolf and like putting Steppenwolf's back against the wall a couple of times. That was awesome. But you're right, not a lot of Aquaman using water powers, but there wasn't a lot of opportunity. Guarantee you when we get to the Aquaman standalone movie, we're going to see a lot more of that. Okay, let's see. Next one. John, I was hoping we were going to see Superman in the black suit. You know what? They kind of teased that, didn't they? Remember Henry Cavill put out that close-up shot of the black Superman suit? But that was just apparently him just having some fun. I'm totally cool with them not doing the black suit. I mean, it would have been interesting, but I also would have gone, where did he get the black suit? Because he's already got the Superman suit. Where did he get this black suit from? Or would have raised that question. But you're right. It would have been neat to see him in the black suit. Would have been neat. But honestly, at the end of the day, having not seen it in the movie, I didn't feel like it detracted from the movie at all, not having the black suit. Would have been neat, but they would have had to explain why he's got a black suit. So I thought it was fine. Let's see. This one comes to us from Shivo-Mitsix2, who writes, John, they finally showed the true power and strength of Superman, and he finally smiled in this movie at the end. Yeah, he had some smiles, and you know what? I love you. I had somebody tweeting me that they thought they might have overpowered Superman a little bit in the movie, because, like, Steppenwolf is not in Superman's league. Superman bitched him. I mean, every time, the only reason Superman didn't just wipe him out is because he kept getting pulled away. Superman kept having to get pulled away to go deal with something else. But when it was Superman and Steppenwolf one-on-one, I even like that when he comes back from saving the one building, he's coming back and the first thing you hear from Superman is this guy still bothering you? Like, this guy's my bitch. I mean, this guy is nothing to me. Is this dude still bothering you? He comes in, starts smacking around Steppenwolf. I loved it. I was eating it up. I was totally eating that up. It was so awesome to see. Because you know he ain't going to have as easy of a time against Darkseid if they ever do another Justice League and if they ever do bring that about. But you know he ain't going to have that easy of a time against Darkseid. So, yeah, I felt they really showed the power, so especially in that fight against the other Justice League members. That one shot. Oh my God! Why do you not use this shot in the marketing? Anyway, that one shot where he's got Cyborg, and he's got Aquaman, and he's got Wonder Woman, he's got all three of them, and he is just bitching them all. He is just wiping the floor with them. Like, Wonder Woman thinks she's tough and gives him a headbutt, and he goes, ah. So he lifts her in the air, boom, and drives her through the concrete. He's smacking around Cyborg and Aquaman, and oh, that scene with him and Bruce. And he's got Bruce by the jaw and the mouth. He's like, you won't let me live. You won't let me die. And then he pulls out Batman's line and goes, tell me, do you bleed? It's like, whoa. Like you could hear people in the theater going, oh shit. Like when he says that. Then he sees Lois and just throws Batman away. Oh my God. I love that scene so much. And you're right. They really showed. Folks, this is Superman. Batman is a formidable foe. Aquaman is extremely powerful. Wonder Woman's extremely powerful. Who knows what Cyborg's limits are? Flash is the fastest man alive. But this is Superman. I loved it. I loved it. I actually absolutely love that element of the movie. Let's see. This one comes to us from Harishiko, who writes, I saw the movie with one of my friends. One of them is an athlete, and he said, why the hell does Flash run like that? Because guess what? Flash isn't an athlete. Until getting those powers, Barry Allen's a nerdy little science kid. He's no athlete. So he's running like a kid who has never run in his life. So don't expect to see the Flash. Like, remember, in this movie, he hasn't been the Flash for 5 years. I think him becoming the Flash is a relatively new thing, probably in the last year or two. He was never an athlete. So that's probably why he's running like that and running a little odd. Let's see. This one. John, if Justice League underperforms, does that make Man of Steel too unlikely? Big fan of Henry Cavill in the role. You know me. I love Henry Cavill in this role. Love Henry Cavill as Superman. If Justice League... Look, it's going to underperform. That's a foregone conclusion at this point. Justice League is going to underperform. The question is, how badly will it underperform? That's the question at this point. It's going to underperform. If it really underperforms, let's say Justice League does not make 800 million. Okay? I think it will, but just for argument's sake, let's say it doesn't. I think the entire DCEU is then in question. I think if you do a Justice League movie and you don't hit $800 million, they've got to reevaluate everything. And yeah, I do think if that happens, and that's a massive if. If that happens, I think Man of Steel 2 becomes a big question mark. Let's see. This one comes to us. Again, you guys, you need to keep the tweet shorter if you can. Random in India writes, John, do you think that the biggest issue with the DCEU is that they cannot undo the damage which they have already done with the previous movies? It's tough because now you're building movies on the foundation of divisive, underperforming films. So, like Man of Steel, which I think is one of the top 10 best comic book movies ever made, a lot of people didn't like it. Batman vs. Superman, which I liked, a lot of people didn't like it. Suicide Squad, I liked it, a bunch of people liked it, but a whole bunch of people didn't like it. It's tough to continue building, and then finally we got Wonder Woman. But it's tough to continue building on such a shaky foundation. It's going to be tough. It can happen. They can do it. It will be a little bit tough, though. Let's see. This one comes to us from Shivo Dometics, who writes, John, were they hinting at a potential relationship between Bruce and Diana in future movies? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think they hinted at that. And I think from both of their points of view in the movie, they showcased moments of affection. You could see that Bruce has affection for Diana. And they also showed from Diana's perspective moments that she clearly has some affection for Bruce. And I think they are hinting at that. But again, we'll have to see if there even are more movies for us to get around to. All right. Let's, what's this one from? This one is from Prylinch90 writes, Pet Cemetery. I love the Pet Cemetery gag, man. That was great. Both times. First, when they're in the Batcave, and Mary's like, yeah, but like, come back as in, yay, he's back, or come back as in Pet Cemetery. And I love that joke. And then later on, as they're fighting Superman, and Barry's like, Pet Cemetery. Loved the gag. Love the gag. Also, the great gag is, did he just bail on us? Like when Cyborg took off from the fight? Obviously, he was going to go do something important. But still, when he takes off from the fight, that was just fantastic. I love that. Let's see. This one comes to us from SM McQueed, who writes, John, Superman versus the League scene was awesome, especially the stare down between him and the Flash. I totally agree. I already mentioned that. Absolutely love that entire sequence. And I really loved, because when Batman is talking to Alfred saying, if things go wrong, my contingency plan is bring out the big guns. It's like, oh, does he got another Kryptonian cannon? Does he have this? Or Kryptonite cannon? Does he have this, that? And he says, Alfred, bring out the big guns. And they bring out Lois Lane. It was great. And it was perfect, too. Because if anything in that world was going to snap Kal-El back into it, it was seeing Lois, the one woman he's always loved. I mean, that was a really great moment. Let's see. Next one. Savior Alpha 80 writes, John, with the Luthor credit scene, what villain do you think we will see in the sequel? Again, if we get a sequel at this point. I loved it. I loved that post-credit scene with Luthor. Although, it was a little, I'll admit, it was a little cheesy, him going, it's time for us to make a league of our own. It's like, okay, so, all right. That seemed a little bit cheesy, but I love just that they had that scene. Luthor's out of jail. Deathstroke shows up. Joe Manganiello's in there. Because, I mean, when everything started to go awry with the Ben Affleck stuff, we thought, are they going to get rid of Joe Manganiello too? They shouldn't, because he's a great casting to play that character. If you want Deathstroke, he's a good guy to play it, other than Manu Bennett. And Manu Bennett, who kills it as Deathstroke in the Arrow show. He's a magnificent Deathstroke. I think Joe looks great as Deathstroke too. I think it was a great scene. And how great. How could I not mention this already? The post-credits scene. Anybody who's ever read a comic book got geek boners when they realized, oh my God, they're doing the race, Superman versus the Flash. Loved it. It made my heart happy. Seeing that just made my heart happy. And love when they're going, which coast, are we going to run to? And they go, loved it. Just loved that moment. I thought it was great. Let's see. This one comes from Noah Joshua Teg, who writes, John, do you believe there will be an extended cut in the Blu-ray pack like Batman vs. Superman? I don't think so. For two reasons. One, it would be, I think this is their movie. I think this is their movie. I think the Blu-ray is going to have a lot of deleted scenes. I think they'll give us a special feature of deleted scenes. You can watch all the deleted scenes. Absolutely. Will they give an extended cut? No. Mostly because they got a lot of crap from people after Suicide Squad came out and they had the extended edition. Had a lot of fans going, wait a minute, I paid $15 to go to a movie theater to watch a movie. Now you're telling me you didn't show us the whole movie? Really? Now you're going to make me buy the Blu-ray if I want to see the true full movie? So what happened? Then Wonder Woman came out and there was no extended edition. And they just went, okay, no, this is your movie. So I don't think we're going to get an extended edition. I think we're going to get the movie as it is. I don't want an extended edition, by the way. I think we're going to get the movie as it is and then a whole bunch of bonus features with deleted scenes and commentaries and things like that. That's the way I think they're going to go. Could be totally wrong. No one's told me that. I'm just guessing. So it could be totally wrong. That's the way I think it's going to go. Let's see here. John, what do you think will be the highest grossing superhero movie of 2017 now that Justice League is out? It's probably going to be Spider-Man Homecoming. I thought for a long time, I said for a long time, it's going to be Justice League. Justice League will be the highest grossing comic book movie of the year, blah, 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 blah. Looks like I was wrong. It's probably going to end up being Spider-Man Homecoming. Let's see. This one. MGU Lajar 24 writes, John, just wondering if you think that Justice League could possibly have a small second weekend drop-off. No. It's already too divisive. I think at best, the drop-off will be 55%. And if it's 55%, that's not bad. Actually, that would be pretty good. Because I think Thor's second week drop-off was like 52, 53. If you're in that 50 range, you're okay. You don't want to get to 60, but at best, I think it's going to be 55%. It'll probably be more than a 60% drop, but let's just wait and see. Let's keep our hopes up. Let's see. This one comes from Mike D18 writes, John, any new podcast episode soon? Oh, I put up the podcast every day. But side note, I put up the podcast every day, but the audio-only podcasts are only for my Patreon supporters. I had to come up with a really good way because I was going to stop my podcasts because I didn't make any money off podcasts. It just took more of my time and energy, and I'm putting them up, and I had to spend money and time on getting them converted and doing all that stuff, putting them up, putting them in the podcast feed, and I don't make any money off them. So I was going to cut them off, but then somebody suggested to me with my Patreon campaign that I make the podcast a part of my Patreon rewards thing. So I've done that. So if you are interested in the audio-only podcast, go check out my Patreon page. And I do it there. I mean, sign up for as little as $2 a month. All right, let's see this. Next one comes to us. I'm going to take just a couple more here. Anish Pardan writes, John, when do you think Green Lantern will join the Justice League? Well, first let's find out if there's even going to be another Justice League. If so, if another Justice League happens, I predict that Green Lantern will be in the next Justice League movie. If it happens. I'm still not 100% sure at this chance we're that. Next one. Harishiko writes, which scenes were CGI mustache? If I'm not mistaken, I believe every single Superman scene was reshot. From what I understand, from what I've been told, every second you see Superman on screen in this movie was a part of the reshoots. So every moment that you see Superman, they've CGI'd out the mustache. From my understanding, maybe the information I have is incorrect, but it sounds like that happened. So let's see. This one, Michael Pasuitzi writes, John, end scene, Superman takes off glasses, open shirts, classic, absolutely. Look, they heard from a lot of people that they want some more of the classic elements of the heroes. Having the final shot, other than post-credit scenes, stuff like that, of Superman, like hearing something, he's Clark Kent on the street, hearing something, and then running into a back alley, takes the glasses off, pulls open the shirt, classic. Awesome. They don't explain how Clark Kent is back. They haven't explained, hey, remember how we said that Clark Kent was dead? Now he's back, and they didn't address that at all. So I thought that was interesting that they didn't even address that. Let's see. Next one comes to us from Grandmaster Gravity, who writes, John, just saw it. I loved it. I think some of the criticisms are exaggerated, and I tend to like Marvel films more. I don't think the criticisms are exaggerated. People are criticizing what they didn't like and how much it didn't work for them. That's it. Just because you felt different, just because I felt different, doesn't mean they're exaggerating. if like the bad CGI or some of the bad storytelling elements, and there are bad storytelling elements, if some of the bad dialogue, most part of the dialogue, there was some cheesy dialogue, let's all admit it. Like when Clark and Lois are standing together in the field, Clark, I wasn't strong. I wasn't Lois Lane, award-winning, or what is it? What's the line? Oh yeah, I wasn't Lois Lane, award-winning reporter. It's like, oh my God, did you really just say that? Oh, awful. Awful dialogue, that one part. But if some people watch that and it really affects them more than it affects you, that doesn't mean you're right and they're wrong. So look, I don't agree with some of the criticism, but I totally see how it would hit other people that way. So yeah, no, I get it. I get the criticism is getting. I like it, but I like the criticism. Let's see. This next one comes to us from RG Film Studios. Writes, John, in order, what has been your favorite superhero movies 2017? I already said this morning on the John Campea Show, but I'll say it again. In order, starting from number 1. The way I would list and where Justice League fits in for me, Logan is by far the best movie of the year. By far the best comic book movie of the year. Best movie overall of the year, too. So you got Logan, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. This has been a year that even the last place film to me, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I liked. This has been a great year for comic book movies. I have liked every major comic book movie that's come out this year. I haven't always been able to say that, but this year I've been able to say it. So once again, for me, it's Logan, Homecoming, Ragnarok, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. That's how I rank them. That's how I put up my my stuff with that. Okay, final question of the day. Let's see. This one comes to us from MRB32. Writes, John, what if it collects billion? Is it considered to be a success? Oh yeah, if Justice League makes $1 billion, it's absolutely a success. If it makes $800 million, it underperformed, but it's still successful. It makes money. If it hits $800 million, it's profitable. If it hits $700 million, it's profitable. There was a report out there by Forbes saying Justice League, because of all the extra reshooting, the budgets came in around $300 million, that Justice League needs to make $600 million to break even. I think they're wrong about that. I actually think it's higher. I think it's probably closer to 650 it needs to make to break even. But if it makes $700 million, it's profitable. It's a success. Any movie that makes money and is profitable, to me, that's a success. Is it a big success? No. Justice League, look, 3 years ago, you talk about a Justice League movie, $2 billion movie. Now we're not even sure it's going to hit $1 billion. But if it does make $1 billion, absolutely we consider it a success. Absolutely we do. All right. That does it, guys, for my little, whatchamacallit, how are we going to define this? The Justice League spoiler review and discussion. Thank you guys for joining me on this. What did you guys make of Justice League? Jump down to the comment section and let me know about that. Thank you all you guys for joining in the discussion here. I'm going to go see it for time number 4 tonight. I can't wait to go out there and see it again. So that'll do it for me, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. My name is John Campea, and until next video, bye-bye.